Okay, everyone. So today what we're going to be going over is Dotloop. So when I say Dotloop, what do you guys think of? Or do you even know what Dotloop means?
All the documents put in there.
All the compliance documents, right? Excellent. So Dotloop does more than just store things or allow your clients to e-sign or electronically sign. It's a hub for everything, including your documents to find them, to easily manage, to add your clients to for them to see documents, and actually to add other agents to create a seamless paperless transaction. So later in the advanced workshop, I'm going to show you guys how to negotiate back and forth electronically on Dotloop. It is fantastic, especially if you are not a fan of crossing out items on the contract, going back and forth and rescanning those scanned contracts. So at the final closing table, it looks like your contract is like pretty much that static in the TV screen, right? It's all black and white, and you can barely read anything on there. So today we're going to do a beginner Dotloop, because we're going over the basics. So how you guys can get started with Dotloop today. Also how to manage your paperwork, how to create what's called loops, which I'll go over in a little bit, and also how to pull our documents that we already templated out for you guys on Dotloop and all of our MLSs that we are with right now, with the exception of the Plattsburgh and Clinton County Board of Realtors, which will be up soon. But everyone here is either a part of the GCAR, so either the ENYR MLS, ERNI I think they call it now, formerly the CRMLS, or Greene County, maybe some Southern Adirondack folks too. We have those as well. So we have all the documents in there, and I will reference those in a little bit too. All right? So now to get started here. So we're on eEdge right now. So the page you see right now in front of you is mykw.kw.com. Okay? So everyone here should have a login for that. Can anyone tell me where they go to get into Dotloop? Instead of go to Dotloop.com. What was that?
Start My Transactions.
Start My Transactions, which is right under Start My Transactions, rather. That link right there. And that will get you automatically into Dotloop, and you'll see a black and white screen. If you see a blue and white screen, please let me know. So it should look like this, or you'll have circles instead. So far, so good? No? Yes? Good? Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. All right. So this is Dotloop. Notice there's no additional logging in, right? So we got you there via an SSO or single sign-on. All right? That gets you to your loops. Now, also on your mobile devices and iPhones or Google phones or Androids, you guys can download the Dotloop app as well. So if you download the Dotloop app, just go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store and type in Dotloop, and you'll see a blind happy face symbol. That's the best I can describe it. That's blue. And that's the Dotloop logo. Okay? So you can do everything I'm doing on here on your mobile devices and on your mobile phone as well. So how cool is that? So instead of dragging your computer around, you can drag your phone, which you always have at all times as realtors, right? And then also your iPad or tablet. Okay? All right. So we're in Dotloop right now. Notice the My KW button, the top right, the top left corner. That gets us to and from the eEdge dashboard. Okay? So remember, your eEdge dashboard is what we came from originally, where your contacts, your marketing, and everything else is located. Okay? So I want to take a few minutes to describe these little symbols up here. Okay? So you see the staircase symbol? That's your dashboard. So if we click on that, that's going to show you your pipeline. So your total sales, or broken down by statuses. Okay? So mine looks a little different from yours. This is pulling all the listings for the past 30 days that you guys submitted to us. So whether new or seasoned agents. So this is kind of like almost the volume of the office in a way. So yours is very similar, but only focusing on your account. So you won't see anyone else's volume. Okay? You can actually play with it with the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, or a year to date. So it's great numbers to get, especially if you're looking to see how well you're hitting your goals and your progress. Remember, this only tracks what you have in your loop. So you didn't add anything to your loop or submit anything to your loop, and you didn't get paid on time, or you don't have a green sheet, which I'll go over later, it's not going to report on here, okay? And obviously you want to submit your green sheet as soon as possible. so you guys can get paid on time. We hate holding checks for you. I hate holding checks for you. I'd rather you guys get it immediately, all right? So we're going to go through all that fun stuff today, how to stay compliant and get paid on time. Sound good? All right. So that's the dashboard. You guys can explore that anytime you like. The next one is loops. That's the main page of where you find all the loops associated with you. I'm on the search field right here, but if you click on on a small red circle, you can switch to a grid view. The grid view is going to get it to those circles, which will look like that. Okay? The reason why I stay on the list view is because I can search on it pretty easily. Okay? But if you're a more visual person, you can create the grid view. You can even add photos to your loop so it makes it appealing to you. So if you're more of a visual person, you can do by the grid view of the circles. Okay? Now notice though, you might see loops in here that you don't even want to pay attention to. Maybe that's sold or expired. That's because it's pulling from the filters. So you see the filter button up here? If I click on that, that will track whatever you say it to. So right now I have no statuses on. So it's looking at all the loops that we've had in the company. So it's probably a couple thousand, more than a couple thousand on here. So let's say I'm a regular agent and I have a few loops in here. If I don't care to see a few of them that sold or expired, I can actually go to the loop statuses, which is the middle area, and then I can check on the ones that I want to see, right? So everyone that I check on here, I will see below once I refresh it. So as an agent, I probably want to see all my active listings under contracts, right? If you scroll down further, you'll see other tags too, or other statuses called pre-listing, pre-offer. So the reason why there's two sets of these statuses is because when we go into doing a fake listing and a fake buyer contract, they have two sets of statuses, right? So obviously an active listing is a listing that you have on the market right now, right? Versus its counterpart, pre-offer, which is when you guys get a buyer and you're just about to put an offer into that property, right? So we'll go over what all that means. So generally what I like to do is I like to highlight those four fields, but you guys can highlight as much as you like. Generally when something is sold, I don't want to see it again, or when something's archived, which means deleted. So I'll explain later on what archive means, but archive is pretty much a word that means deleting without being with the ability to recover it. All right, so nothing in here can get deleted. That's just for safety's sake, just in case. If you're like me, I'm very, I'm very forgetful, and I'll tend to delete things that I shouldn't. So I can always recover it back there again. So you have to worry about that with Dotloop. Okay? So if I hit filter, this will dramatically decrease the amount of loops that I will see on my end, depending on if any of those loops qualify for those statuses. So status is going to play a very high part in your loops. I'm going to show you what statuses are once we create a fake loop. Okay? Alrighty. So the next one you see is activity log, right? The cool thing about Dotloop is it tracks everything you do, your clients do, or other agents do that are added to your loops as people. And we're going to go over the people section next. Okay? So if I open that up, when my Wi-Fi just decides to kick in here, so bear with me for a couple of seconds. Did it? Yeah. Because everyone here is on a computer probably, right? The bandwidth is kind of small. So you see here, it actually tracks and timestamps every action that someone does. So I'm in the office loop, so I see everyone's activity. However, if you're in your own loop, the red bolded color will be the name of the loop, followed by, you'll see a picture or name. Those are the actions that your people in that specific loop has done. So you can see if someone has opened it, viewed it, downloaded it, or edited it too. Pretty cool, right? Almost like stalking in a way. But it's and also timestamps it too. So it keeps you in the know. So any questions on the activity log or the filtering that I just went over? Those are two common questions I get a lot. Nothing so far? All right. I go back to my main loops. All right, and to finish it out, you'll see this little task button up here. That shows you all the tasks, that's bad, tasks that are due, rather, based on a specific loop that's either assigned to you, that are overdue, completed, or all the tasks left. Now, we're going to go over tasks and people in detail when it comes to the loop. Just know that a loop is a transaction. So whenever I say a loop, that's a transaction. And a loop contains tasks that you can assign yourself, your team, or your buyers, sellers, or anyone in there, like vendors. And you can add people. So those people will be either, again, can be your buyers or sellers, yourself, and also anyone else in the transaction that needs sharing to those forms. Okay? Again, the people section is going to show all the people that are contacts that you've ever added in Dotloop. Mine looks a little different because I'm in the Office tab, so Keller Williams Capital District has all of you guys in there. Okay? And then you'll see this too, where you can add your vendors. We're going to go over that in detail at the Advanced Dotloop training, all right? The one after this. All right, then we come to templates on here. Templates is where you can quickly find, print, and download all the documents that are available to you guys. Now, the first thing you'll see on the left-hand side is loops. Those are called loop templates. Now, we're going to discuss that as soon as we add a loop, all right? So ignore the loop fields here, and scroll down a little bit further until you see documents, where my cursor is. If I click on documents, you'll see something very similar. You'll see these form folders that have forms in them, all right? Now, they correspond to the MLS that you're a part of and also to the type of transaction. So, for instance, the CRMLS, buyer forms, has buyer forms associated with the CRMLS, which is now the ENYRMLS, okay? The reason why these haven't changed to the ENYMLS is because technically the forms have not been updated yet, okay? So if you guys are in G-Card, just think of the CRMLS as the ENYRMLS. I feel like they always get longer, the acronym. So I think it's ERNIE for sure. I'll say ERNIE, even though it sounds kind of weird. All right? So ERNIE. All right. And below that, you'll see CIRA, which is the Commercial Industrial Board, GC-MLS, which is Greene County, and then following SA-MLS, which is Southern Adirondack MLS, formerly Warren County MLS. Okay? So for most of you guys, you're only going to probably be focusing on the CRMLS. So there's a few of you guys out there that do deals or are associated with those two other boards. Okay? Now, if I want to quickly print or even download something, I can just go choose that form folder. So let's say I'm going on a listing appointment, and I just got a call right now, and I'm out the door. So I don't have time to make my loop. So what I can do is go to that folder and then check the boxes that I want to print or download right now. So I can do listing agreement, New York State agency disclosure, and let's say I only need the property condition disclosure or PCD statement. I can scroll up, click on the little stoplight symbol, and choose to download it, which creates a combined PDF, which goes into your download folder, or if you're using Chrome or Mozilla, it'll be down here in that left corner. I can open up and print it. All right? Pretty easy stuff, right? I can also email that too, because that's an attachment, right? To PDF. So we can email attachments as well. So that's if you're on the go. Any questions on doing that? Okay. Last but not least, on that taskbar, you'll see your initials. So mine's JP, so be whatever your initials are. See that member ID? So mine is 153745507. Probably memorized that before because I called Dotloop support so much. That number is what they prompt you with when you call Dotloop support. Now, the number for Dotloop support is at the bottom of every page in that red next to Help Center. So that number is 513-257-0551. Okay? And that will get you KW Dotloop support. They're going to ask for a member ID number, which is right next to that number on the bottom of every single screen or page of Dotloop, or under your initial, under your name. Okay? So what I also like to do too is go into my account and optimize a few things just so I know that everything is taken care of. So a lot of the stuff the client will see if you send them documents. So you want to make sure it looks professional. And I always opt in to add my photo, which of course I didn't do yet, but I've only been here 4 years, so I have more time to add my photo there, right? So I would definitely recommend adding your photo. Again, your first name and last name needs to be your legal name, okay? That's how it's going to timestamp it and stamp your signature on there as well. So make sure it's your legal name, whatever on your Department of State license. All right. The rest you can fill out as well. So your NERDS number, NRDS, which is your NARN, is that your NERDS number? What does it stand for? National Association of What? All I know is an important number that you guys should have on there. So I don't have one. I'm not licensed. So I would definitely put that in there for you guys. And just anything that seems obvious, put in. Anytime it asks for your address, make sure you put the market center you're associated with. We obviously don't want to put our addresses, right, our residential addresses, because we don't want to know where we live, right? So I would always put your either the market center here, which is 935 New Loudoun Road in Latham, or the Saratoga, which is 353 Broadway, floor 5, or the one in Del Mar, which is 180 Delaware Plaza. Okay? All right. And then hit save. Next off is the profile section. You guys should only have one. Do you guys have one or two when you click on profiles? One? Okay. Just want to make sure. All righty. So again, make sure you can fill this up if you wish. You don't have to, but again, I think the more you add, the better. Don't worry about the association. Since you're with Keller Williams, you get that premium Dotloop service, and also attaches to our broker account. That's why we give you all those templates available, all right, all the documents. I want to point out at the bottom under where you see notification settings, notice you can set push notification or email notifications, right, depending if you're using the app or if you're using the computer version of Dotloop. I would always opt to check all those on. That's how it can notify you. So at the bottom of profile section under my account, yeah, all at the bottom, all those checks. I always say check them on because I'd rather be over-notified than under-notified. When items like transaction compliance come up too, because I feel that's a very important topic to keep attuned to, right? Again, I want to stay compliant because it's legal, right? I don't want to break the law. Also, it's because I want to get paid on time too, right? And make sure that there's no way that I'm missing any documents, and that way I get the best customer service to my clients because they also can have access to this if I give them access to this. So not only does it allow you to sign, your clients to sign, you to sign, or other agents to sign and store things, but it also allows the other side, so agents or even your buyers or sellers, to retain that information and log into their own Dotloop account where they can pull that information for the next 4+ years. So Dotloop automatically holds on to all of your documents under the New York State guideline, which I believe is 4 years. I should really research this. It's a good pop quiz for you guys. So how long does the Department of State in New York State require you to hold on to your documents for? That's a good question to put on the test too. It's either 3 or 4, but it does it for you. That way you don't have to do it. So it's an extra task that it holds on to. So it's a cloud-based system that holds on to those documents for you. All righty. So go ahead and hit save, and let's scroll back up. And that completes that dashboard items navigation bar. Any questions on any of those items before we move on? All right, you guys are quiet, so hopefully you have no questions. Now, I'm going to go back to the loop page, and that gets me back to my home page where I see all my loops, right? So what I want to do next is give you directions of how to create a loop. So again, what does a loop mean? A transaction. Thank you, Carter. So a transaction is what you guys do. It's either for sale or you work for the buyer, right? So you're selling or you're helping a client buy a property or renting a property. So in order to create a loop, what do you think you click on first? The red button, right? When I click on that, it's going to ask me for a name of the loop. So here is a go-to guide for this. Whenever you have a listing for sale or you're selling it, you're listing anything, a property, put the full property address. So someone give me a real address.
1504 Barclay.
1504 Barclay, you said?
Barclay Place.
Barclay Place. All right, and give me the town or city. Niski, all right. Ha. See how Google Maps sounded pretty fast? Right? Since Google knows everything, it knows all the addresses too. So this will most likely show your address. If the town or the city might be off by a town or two depending on the tax map. It's however Google calculates what the true address is. That happens a lot in Gilderland and Schenectady, or Niskayuna and Schenectady. The zip codes kind of align differently. All right. So we click on that. That formats our address here. Notice below it says select a template. So as you guys click on select a template for those in the Market Center, we have set these easy shortcuts up to get you guys to create a loop. So it adds all the documents and labels your loop for you automatically. So you can elect to choose it this way. I highly recommend doing this. For those that are not in the Market Center that are listening in or that don't want to do this, you guys don't have to choose a loop template, but it's a shortcut to save you additional 5 or 10 minutes of time. Okay? So in this example, I'm going to click on a listing for sale. So I'm pretending that I'm going to be selling or listing 1504 Barclay. Okay. Place. All right, so when I'm ready, I hit Create Loop, and that will create the loop page for me. So notice how it looks a little funky. There's no town in there. Niski is not being shown. Niskayuna is not being shown. So I can always go back in there and click on the address and fill in the gap. That might happen here or there. It might be a glitch, or it just might be Dotloop or Google Maps playing around with you. So just bear with it and just add that extra bit of information. Usually it does stick, but again, it's pulling from a Google Maps record, so obviously nothing's perfect, but Google is pretty much on task with all the addresses. So I can go back to loop after that's done, and that gets me back to this section right here. So you notice that you have a folder and you have documents in there automatically, right? That is thanks to the loop template, so it does a little extra work for you. So for those that didn't choose a loop template, that folder will be blank and allow you to add documents. So before I even touch the documents, see next to where it says listing for sale? That's the loop type. So that actually automatically labeled that for you. So for those that don't see that, if you click on loop type, you'll see listing for sale. So see how it's saving you more time by doing loop templates? Next to it is the loop status. I mentioned loop statuses are very, very important. That's how Najla, who is our compliance director down in Delmar, knows when to check items. And also, it keeps you guys in the loop. And remember, under dashboard, it tells you where everything is in the pipeline, right? All right, so if I click on that, it's going to give me a few options. I look familiar, right? Pre-listing, private listing, active listing, under contract, sold, and archived. Pre-listing means what?
Ready for the listing appointment?
Exactly. So it's not signed, it's not live on the multiple listing service. Private listing, I often ignore, so don't worry about that. Active listing. It's on the MLS, right? Active. Under contract, got a contract on that. Excellent. Sold is the sold, and archive, what I say archive is? It saves and it's quote-unquote deleting it, but it keeps the record of it, so you can always bring it back. So that's great if it's something expired or withdrawn and you don't want to see it. You can just hit archive and it makes it go away. Okay? Without it deleting it. All right, so I'm not at the appointment yet, so I'm just getting this started. So I'm going to click on pre-listing for now. Okay, now that I'm done with adding those loop types and statuses, I'm going to scroll all the way down till I see people. So I'm in my admin account, so this is a bad example. I should have went into my agent account, but what do you guys see under people? Oh, yep, Jeff.
Can I make a point?
Sure.
So I know I thought it was maybe it's not required.
Mm-hmm.
But I put carbon monoxide and smoke detectors in all my listings.
Okay.
In there.
Sure thing. So Exactly, and for that reason too, yeah, you caught on to me. So to surprise you guys, but Jeff ruined it. No, you're fine. So there might be some documents missing. For those that are in G-Card, you obviously there's one or two forms that might be missing. And also we'll talk about how to remove some of these forms if it doesn't apply to your transaction. So lead-based paint is a clear example, right? So what year is lead-based paint?
78.
78. Excellent. Should be like a proctor for a test or something. Right? All right. So our people section, what do you see down there? Mine's a little different from your view. You guys should see two people in your loop, right, technically? Who's the first? Well, what do you see automatically in your people section? Admin. So the admin section is actually us. That's when you submit to review to us, we see it, okay? And the one below admin is who? You guys, right? So if you follow from your name and follow all the way across under admin, what role do you see for yourself? None, right? So that's a challenge if you leave it there, right? Because if it's left as none, how do the documents know which spot to fill out? So we want to make sure that we put the label in there. So go ahead and click on role and choose your role. So in this example, we're going to be listing agents or a listing agent. Alrighty. So far, so good? All right. So now that we added ourselves, we want to add our sellers, right, or seller. So here's the rule of adding sellers, more than one. If you have more than one seller, technically by law, and this is a federal New York State law, in order for the system to recognize two separate people, you have to have them on two separate email accounts. Okay? Now, there might be a challenge with maybe people who don't use the computer often or don't really want to email. That could be a generation gap or just an experience with working with computers. But I highly recommend it because you can send everything electronically to the system, and they can access it with their mobile app or their tablet or their computer. So if they give you a challenge with that, I would counter with saying, hey, would you rather everything be stored on a cloud for you, similar to an iCloud or Google Drive, for those that have experience with those two systems, and not allowing them to hold on to anything physical. They can always print it out if they want, but everything be stored on here is safely and secure. That way, it doesn't walk away, doesn't get lost, doesn't get ripped up or thrown out by mistake. And you can easily make an email via Gmail, right? It probably takes 2 minutes. So you can always send them a link to create a Gmail, and that's a legally binding email that's associated with an individual, all right? So even if they're married legally, you still can't add them as the same email account, okay? That's just a New York State and a federal thing. Make sense? All right. So let's go ahead and add our fictitious sellers. So we can add one or two or more than two, depending on the situation. So if you guys want to add one, because it's quicker, we can do that. So in order to do that, we're going to click on Add Person, right? And it's going to ask for their full name. So it wants their full name. First name and last name has to be a legal spelling. So who's my seller example going to be? Whose house am I selling? What? All right. Do you want to be your real name or do you want to make up an alias name?
My wife's name.
Your wife's name? All right, what's your name?
Oh, you want to do it now? Sorry.
Yeah. All right.
Goodrich.
Goodrich. All right. And then we can put an email in there if we want to. So the email, you can either add an email here now or later. So I'll select not to put in one for now because let's say I don't know it and I'm going to give Lynn a call later to ask her, is it okay for me to send this to you electronically, and just to confirm that way. All right? And also you'll see across in that the role again. So we have to make sure the role is correct, and that activates those boxes that role is going to fill out in the documents. So I think I touched upon this before, is that the documents are templated, meaning that they recognize every single role based on all the documents in the MLSs. So all you have to do is literally add the people, open the documents, and it knows who you are, and that way only assigns the things for you to sign and fill out, and then your sellers in this case only have to fill out what they have, those boxes. They can't overwrite you, so don't worry about that. So if you send them a listing agreement and you give them permission of can fill and sign, which I'll go over next, they can't override your commissions or your list or your price or days on market. Okay, everything is locked in for you guys. So this populates too, right? So it wants to know more information about Lynn Goodrich. So my seller. So the more you fill out, the more that can get populated to your forms that are required. Now, there's some obvious ones that you don't need to fill out, which is marital status or cell phone or company name. But a good idea is to add their physical mailing address. So we all probably have seen or maybe heard of people that sell homes that are not their actual addresses. So on the listing agreement, when we show what that looks like, it's going to say the property to be sold, right? And the next line is the sellers. And the third line is what? Where they're residing, especially, which needs to be filled out. Okay? So that's, if it's the same, I would put the same address in there too, because I would rather overfill the document. I mean, it's a legal document, and I'd rather be compliant on that. So fill that in. So I'll just put in one in here. Let's say she lives at a different address, 123 Main Street, Latham, New York, 12110. So how are we doing so far? I heard I might be lost. I have good ears, by the way. Who said that? Raise your hand. Don't feel embarrassed. We're on a pretty fast pace, so I want to make sure that I can slow down. And if I am talking too much, please let me know to shut up and to slow down a little bit. All right. I want to make sure that everyone here understands this, right? Because it's pretty important. And also, I want to make sure that everyone knows the steps I'm doing to making sure that you guys can be completely paperless and hassle-free with your documents. Okay? So how are we doing so far? Good? Guys still awake? The lights are off too, so. Alrighty. So below marital status, you see a checkbox. What is that name that's next to that checkbox? If I had my laser pointer, I can point there. Right over here? Intro email. Excellent. So intro email, you guys can send if you want. I don't advise. I advise against it, actually, because there's a way to send an email with your documents to send to that person immediately. I often don't do this because if I send an intro email, it's going to say, hey, welcome to Dotloop. And if you're just setting it up for them and they have no idea what you're doing, or we have an accident about electronic signing, it might confuse them. Okay? Yeah, I would not check that box. So when you add them, they're not going to get any prompt. They're not going to get any welcome emails. They're not going to get any spam or sales pitch from Dotloop at all. Okay? So I'm going to hit Add Person. All right. So we have our people. And then below you see tasks, right? So on our loop template, that shortcut we did, I actually added this a while ago. Some of this might be outdated, so let me know. But this is a kind of cheat sheet of how to stay compliant with the market center. So all the documents you need for certain scenarios. So for property condition disclosure, it shows you it's required unless you have those types of homes. Now, if any of these items are wrong or incorrect, let me know. That way I can fix it. And so next to each task, what do you see? All the way to the right. What can you do to this? You can assign them, right? How cool is that? So if I click on assign, or unassign rather, oops, let's right click, left click. Come on, there we go. I can assign a due date or a specific date, right? Below that, under no one, bear with me, I can add who? See Lynn Goodrich or no one, and you'll see yourself as well. So you can add to specific people. Now, who under your people section can you see when you click on no one to reveal the people you can add to? Do you see the same as me? Do you see all the leadership team, or do you just see? No problem. Let's reverse this real quick. So when I scroll up, so when I first initially hit unassign, you see where it says assign to and see no one? Click on that. Now what do you guys see? Same as me, or do you only see 2 or 3 choices? Same as me. So you can actually assign it to me, Carrie, or Mark, our leadership team, right? Not that you should, but but you also see your person you added, right? In this case, Lynn. Do you guys see that? Excellent. So you can assign it to yourself or to your sellers. And that when that does it, it pushes out an email to them if they haven't done so already. If it passes the due date, it will actually send Lynn, in this case, you have an overdue task that you need to complete, and they'll send a link to the loop here. That way she can get access to it immediately. So it actually acts as a mini assistant too, right? Just like the Edge does when it reminds you of items. So this system can do a great job of keeping you guys on track and your clients. Because how many hours do you guys spend on average hassling your clients for a signature? When I used to be a team manager, I was doing that pretty much 4 hours a day, so it would kill half my day. All right? So this is a great way to keep compliant with that. You also can add to it as well by add a task. There's no limitations to that. All right? Who's excited for that? Maybe, okay, it's a few of us. I love tech, so there you go. But it does save you a lot of time on average, okay? Alrighty, so let's scroll back up, and my clicker is not working because it's not plugged in. There we go. Awesome. So now we're up here. Now that we added our people, we labeled our loop, making sure the address is correct, and also our status is correct. What's the last thing to do? Open the documents, right? Awesome. So before we open the documents, remember I mentioned, so Jeff actually brought up if you wanted to add or negate a form, right? So Jeff, you mentioned the CO, carbon monoxide. CO, no CO. CO3 is, sorry, I was a science major, so CO2 is carbon monoxide, CO is carbon monoxide. Putting my degree at work right now, so that's like, all right. So if you want to add documents, you can just go to Add Document, and it's going to give you three choices. If you want a document that's already on that's part of the MLS, you can click on Templates, and that will bring you to this page, which looks very similar to what we explored in the beginning of the class, right? When we can choose a form that's associated with an MLS and a type of transaction, and clicking on a form. So if we're going to search for a carbon monoxide form, we can go to CRMLS Single Family Listing, and that will house all the documents associated with a listing. So I scroll down. Here it is, carbon monoxide. I can check on that box, click on copy, and it's going to import that template on top right here. Okay? You can always browse and add your own PDFs to here. If you do so, they're not templated, so technically you're going to have to drag and drop boxes and add fields, which we're going to explore more on in the advanced Dotloop class, okay? So in order to, now if we have all our documents that we want, and let's say, you know what, this property happened to be built after 1978, so I don't need the lead, I can scroll down and click on that checkbox next to lead-based paint, scroll back up, and click on Archive. When I do that, that will erase the lead-based paint. It won't delete it from the loop, but it kind of puts it like an invisible shield over it, so you can't see it. Let's say, oh crap, it was built in 1970, so I do need it. I can click on Show Archive, which will showcase on top next to Add Folder. It will show lead-based paint. I can click on the stoplight symbol next to it and click on, where is it? On Archive. And that brings it back to my loop. Sure thing. All right. So to archive it, I can click on the document. I can click on the stoplight symbol across from it. Click on Archive. That makes it go away. So now it's invisible. If I want to bring it back, you'll see Hide Archive that will pop up. I click on that. Show Archive. It reappears. I click on that stoplight symbol again, and then click on Archive, and it brings it back. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. Excellent. All right. Now that we have all our documents, we now can open them and make sure they're auto-filled and auto-populated with our client information and our own signatures. So the easy way to do that for all the documents is click on that checkbox next to Listing Folder. That will highlight all the forms in that folder. I can then click on Open. When I click on Open, that will open up all my documents, and then this autofill box will showcase as well. Make sure that your people are correct in their roles. So seller 1 is Lynn, listing agent should be me. I remember I added my admin account, so it won't do that for me. So just pretend that says my name on there, okay, even though it doesn't. But I'm not in your account, so I can't kind of duplicate what you guys see. Yeah. You give her a role? So let's say she's a seller in this case.
Yeah.
Do you see her name there?
We don't.
Okay. So
Maybe I didn't add her, but
yeah, make sure you go in there and add the people. That's why you add the people first.
my address would show up.
Okay. So if your average doesn't show up to you, so let me stick with the person first. So if the people are not there, that means you didn't add them. So make sure you add. That's why you say add the people first to avoid it not showcasing. But if you scroll down and see the property address, see mine populated. But if yours does not, see that missing address there, because it's thinking Barclay doesn't have a true town name, or maybe it's new construction it won't show, or maybe it didn't recognize the address you put in there. You can fix that right then and there before you auto-populate it to those forms. So in this case, the address is a pretty important piece of information, right? It's going to be probably put on every single form. So instead of us duplicating that over and over again, if we just make sure that address is correct here and scroll down, hit submit, it's going to paste that every single form. What was that?
Let's get back to this right here.
Well, this populated after I hit open.
Right.
All right. So if I go back, it's not going to populate again. So let me just run through this real quick, and I'll backtrack for you guys. So this autofill button will populate when you click on open after you highlight all the documents you want to open up in auto template. This is going to verify who your roles are, your address, which you can definitely edit this if you like. And then look, you can add your sale price and your total commission total commission percentage as well. So, what am I listing this house for? That's it? $2 million. A lot of zeros there. There we go, $2 million. That's how I like it. And what's my percentage of commission? Sure. It's a nice paycheck, right? 6%. Oof. Be set for a couple of years. Now if I scroll down, it's verifying that Lynn is living on 123 Main Street that I added. It's a different address from her for sale property, right? And then I can finally add the expiration date. Let's say I'm going to expire this sometime in September, and the listing date will say, well, we're going to list it tomorrow, first thing in the morning on the 5th. Okay? So after I'm done with that, I click on autofill, and then everything gets populated. Pretty cool, right? Isn't that $2 million price tag right there? All right. So if I scroll down, a lot of things are filled in. You'll see initials here, LG. That's Lynn Goodrich. So you see your sellers as the initials. And let's go on further. You'll see a red highlight under your broker initial, right? So mine doesn't show because I didn't give myself permission, but you guys will see that. So anything in a red highlighted box means you have to sign. So you're more than welcome to pre-sign before you send this over to your client. I recommend that because it looks more professional, right? So instead of you signing last, you have them sign last because that showcases that everything's final on that document. Does that make sense? All right, so click on that box where you have to initial first. What pops up? And who can describe that for us, for the folks that can't see it on the screen? Yep, sign.
Signed by listing agents and then my name.
Yep, so click on that and click on sign now. So click on the red box that says you're going to sign it, and there's going to be a drop down that says sign now, right?
Yeah.
Or sign here. So what pops up?
Then it has my name and signature review.
So it's verifying your full name, your initials, how it's going to look like, and hit accept. You also, if you want to be creative, and this is if you have time, you can click on draw signature and make your own signature if you're on a touch screen or on your mouse, if you guys want to. I don't like doing that because I want it to look nice and, clean, but it's up to you. Yes?
You should have autofill real quickly, right?
Sure thing.
My screen with me.
Oh, on your screen? Yeah. Bear with me. All right. So you're back on your loop. Can you scroll up? Scroll down for a second. There your documents are. Click on the new folder checkbox next to that, and then click on open, and then you'll see the auto box load after it loads. Yeah, and that's going to confirm all your documents. And once you do that and hit OK or submit, then it's going to auto-populate all that information on the screen that you're looking at right now. Very, very important, though. So you see where your broker commission is? That's already set there, right? Because we did that ahead of time. Notice the co-broke. Make sure that's applicable to you, okay? It has 2.5 on there, 0 for sub-agent and 2.5 for broker. Not everyone uses that guideline, so I would definitely talk to Chris Kubo, who I think some of you guys were at the previous class, which was the contracts class. And did he go over this specific area with you guys, co-broke, what that means and what he recommends you putting there? All right, so if you have any questions on co-broke information, I'm not licensed, so I can't give you guys out that information. You can definitely give him a call.
You can change it right here and change it.
Yep.
I don't pay a broker's agent.
Yep, exactly. So
no one can explain to me what that is.
Yeah, agency is a big deal in New York State, right? Half your questions on your exam is usually, what is this? Because you're in this position, what is this, right? So any questions, you want to contact Chris Kubo at our market center, for those in our market center at Capital District, for questions. He's a broker on call. If you want to write down his number, it's going to be area code 518-724-6365. And the black cards have all the leadership, including Christopher Kubo's number on here under broker on call. So that's on here if you guys want to pick that up on the way out. So you guys can click on any of these spaces, and it becomes editable. All right. So I can change a 6 to a 5. I can change the 2.5 to 0.5, whatever you guys want. So, and also I recommend anytime you have blank spaces, put X's in them so it knows that there's nothing going to be added to that later on. All right. So we're scrolling down the listing agreement. You'll see Lynn sign here, and then you'll probably see under no one, you'll see that for yourself being red, right? So you're signing in that case there. So Dotloop tells you where to sign. That way you'll never miss a spot. It also, when you send electronically, will share with your sellers where to sign as well. That way they don't skip an important line or signature field, which will delay more of your time to listing it, right, or getting compliant with your contracts. And that's how it works. So again, if I scroll up to one of these empty spaces, I want to edit this. But see how it's Xing me out? If you don't properly label yourself, see this no listing agent, I can't touch that, right? Because it doesn't identify as being a listing agent. Because remember back, I didn't add myself as a listing agent. I want to show you what it looks like if you don't add your roles correctly. So it's locking me out, okay? So if you do see that symbol, that most likely means you didn't assign yourself to that specific role. That's only available to edit on that line, okay? Does that make sense? Excellent. So let's say I added myself to that, so I can switch the roles to myself, and now I can add items to this. Notice I can change the font, I can make it larger or smaller, I can format it too. So it's pretty much like a Word document as well. So you guys can make your own forms in here. It's pretty cool stuff. So pretty much all the other forms are like that, right? Check out buyer agency. Again, I didn't put myself in here, so it's not going to load the full experience, but it's pretty much filled out for you, right? For those that have done it, it has your name in there automatically. It has the brokerage here, and it has who you're representing, followed by your clients too, because all the autofill population is called labels, and the labels know where to go based on the forms that I created a while ago for you guys. All right, so another shortcut is saving you a lot of time.
I got 2 signature blocks from one. There's only one filler. Does that matter?
So it looks like this almost. So, yep, that just denotes that this is for two different people. So if Lynn signs here, she won't be prompted to sign it below as well. So no one else will. Yep. If you have 2 sellers, then it'll be Lynn sign here and Charlie sign here. Okay. Then we have the PCD, which is already filled out for you. Remember, you guys do not fill out the PCD; it's only done by the client. Oops.
Can they fill that out then? They can be able to go in there?
Yeah, so I'm going to show you how to share that up too. So when we hit share, we're going to share this electronically. I'll show you how you can share this for them to fill it out too. So literally they never have to take out a pen. They just can type it out on their computer, their tablet, or on their phone. All right?
And when you get that listing agreement itself, they can go in there and fill that out? Or
So listing agreement. So we go, yeah. So on the listing agreement, all they have to do is sign. So if you give them permission, and which I'll show you in a few minutes, can fill and sign, that allows them to fill out and sign when prompted. So they only fill out where they are supposed to. That means they can't override your amount or your commissions or anything that you guys are assigned to itself. Okay? All right, I'm going to click on Save. Let's say I'm done with this. Remember, I opened up all the documents at once. So let's say I want to share the documents. The best way to share the documents, if you're done modifying them in here, is to share them all at once, right? That way the client gets one email with all the attachments together instead of having separate ones, unique emails set to, in this case, Lynn. If I want to share electronically, I can click on Share. When I click on Share, though, a pop-up box comes up and identifies my seller or sellers. If I click on Lynn, what does it want now? An email, because remember I skipped over that because I didn't know it ahead of time. So it's going to prompt you to put an email address in here. Otherwise, you can't share it. So if I send it to, let's say I send it to me, right? I'll show you an example of what it looks like. See that permission default, can sign? I always recommend doing can fill and sign. Can fill and sign will only allow that individual based on the role to fill out what they're assigned to based on the template. So it's kind of like a built-in security. Okay? So if you have a PCD or anything that needs to be filled out by the seller or and the buyer in a purchase agreement case, you can give them that generic permission, can fill and sign, and they will get prompted to do all that. Okay? And below that, see it says custom message. Then I can start. I can type something in there. So I can say, hi Lynn. Oops. If I could type her name right, that'd be great. All right, there we go. This is, Johnny from KWCD with the document we discussed, and whatever to follow. Okay. Below that welcome email or that message, what do you see? That's a checkbox. What does that mean? If I click on the attached PDF to email,
that's something that we have downloaded, so that would be more equivalent to say if this was a buyer and you had like their William Miranda's agency or affiliate disclosure.
Yeah, so you can do. So I always elect to check that box no matter what, because that allows. So not only does it send them the link to access Dotloop and also your welcome email, but below it attaches it to the email as a physical PDF. So they feel more comfortable. They can download it to their computer, print it out, do it in person, and then send it back to you guys if they wish to. So it gives you the both options. So who here was onboarded by me in the last 4 months or so for Keller Williams? So we use the system, right? And you guys probably saw that there's an attachment as well with that invite sometimes, if I remember to do that. That's what it looks like. And that's why we do the onboarding through Dotloop, to give you that kind of sneak peek at what you guys have in your arsenal with compliance paperwork, all right? All right, so there's nothing else left to do except to hit share. When I click on share, it's going to send out that email to Lynn. So I use my email, for example, to show you guys what it looks like. If you do have a fake email in there, hit share. It will send out to that person if they happen to have an email address like that. So make sure the email address is correct. And if it is generic or fake, make sure you don't push out to that fake email. I would just choose to put your personal email in there. Don't put your work email in there because you're already emailing it from your KW account. Okay? So you can actually create these fake loops every single day of the week if you wanted to. That's what my number one recommendation is to get proficient at Dotloop, is to keep practicing on this. And there's a limited amount of loops that you guys have. You have the word at maxing out. You're not going to crash the system. We're not going to be able to see it unless you share it to us. So nothing will be wrong with you guys going in there, just practicing there. All right, when I hit done and go back to my email, so it might take a few minutes, so I'm going to wait on that when we're ready. Just make sure it's on here. Another common question I get is like, oh, it didn't submit, or it didn't send to my person's email address. About 90% of most of the calls that get to Dotloop support is that issue, that challenge. And the one thing I always recommend is going back to the loop and making sure your email is correct. So sometimes people put commas instead of periods after the domain. I do that every single time for some reason. I keep on hitting the comma. So I have to go back and change it. So that happens to you. You guys can go back here and click on that email address and change it at any time. Resave it, And let's say in this example it didn't go through, I can reshare these documents again. So I would do the same method. I would check all of them that didn't share to that individual, click on share, and then click on reshare, click on the individual, and then hit reshare. And it'll push out another email invite to the client with the document, the correct email address. All right. I'm very embarrassed if I can't find it on here to show you guys the example. So I'm going to give this a couple more minutes to load. Typically this laptop goes a little slow, so just bear with me with that. I'm just going to go back here. So once you send documents from any loop, now you see the status is called waiting on others, right? As soon as the first person starts signing, it would say partially complete. When someone finally completes all the documents, it'll say signed. And then it will give you an email update too. So when you guys got onboarded by us at Keller Williams Capital District, you probably want to know how I got back to you so quickly is because I actually saw every time you sign a document in my email address. Part of the reason why I have like 1,000 emails unread right now. Okay? So you can see when they're signing it in person basically, or signing it live. Okay? All right, so let's check.
These fake ones.
Yep. Great question. So the fake ones, the fictitious loops that you make up, see that status right there which says pre-listing? If you set it to archive, it will go away, just like the documents themselves. So that's how you can keep doing it. So make those fake loops. Maybe we won't do one a day. You have a free couple of minutes or a free 15-minute period. Or when you get the recordings, you have the recordings from this class, you can kind of go side by side and do it at the same time.
Will it be a hiccup if you have to use the same address when you're playing?
Great question. So if you use the address similar times, will it showcase? Not unless, it will showcase over and over again, but it might say, and that's a great question for the advanced class. So the advanced class, I was going to show you how you guys can actually link up with each other. So let's say, I don't know, I have a listing, 123 Main Street, and I listed it. And let's say Regina has a buyer that likes that property, and instead of Regina coming to me for the documents, she can actually type in the address of the property, and then she can find me and hook up to my loop. However, she can't see the documents that I share with my individual, so she'll see everything blank, but she'll see under people me.
A real example of Sarah and I have a pending, and I don't see it in my loops.
Mm-hmm.
But we're sharing the pending.
So let's keep that to next class, just because I want to make sure we get the basic understanding of this class, and we'll tackle the challenge of loops not showcasing when you guys link each other's loops. All right. So that is a great question. So we'll talk about more of that next class. Are you going to stay the next class? You think? Okay, great. So bring up that at the next class, and we'll go over that in detail. So I'm going to show you the power of how you can guys communicate back and forth with your other side, so buyers and sellers, with contracts, and do that seamless kind of seamless contract negotiation back and forth without doing it in person and rescanning it over and over again. That way it looks professional, neat, and doesn't look like a hot mess when it gets down to the given to the attorneys, right? Any other questions so far? Or ones I didn't answer? Okay, just want to make sure. Alrighty, so if I don't get this email right now, I'm going to skip on to the next one. I just wanted to show you the experience with the client sees, but it appears that something did not come through yet. All right. So I'll monitor that. Maybe it'll come in late. Again, this computer tends to take a long time, so let's just skip that for now. Let's say my client comes back, Lynn, and signs everything, right? Everything in there is compliant. You could actually open up each document and look if she signed everywhere as she should, but the system will tell you that if they did or not. The one thing you want to watch out for, if I open up the listing agreement and I'm like, oh, you know what? I meant to put 7%, not 6%. If you try that and everyone's signed, you're going to get a warning that comes up that says you're attempting to modify a legal document. If you do so, everyone's signatures, including your own, will be erased. So we'll give you that warning. And that's there, obviously, to safeguard the client or yourself from going in there and changing out the document. or changing up the figures to make it cheaper or more expensive behind the individual's back. Okay? You can do that, but erase all the signatures of that individual document or whatever is opened at the time. So then you have to reshare it back again. So keep that in mind. But let's assume that Lynn signed everything here. It's all good. What's the next step? You know, list it, right, on the MLS, right? So obviously, right? So we'll put the MLS, right? And then we're going to submit this to us, right? You're going to prove the compliance to the Market Center, us, so we can deem it compliant. So how do you do that? How do I submit the paperwork on Dotloop to the leadership staff, us? What was that? Excellent. Submit to review. Thank you. So submit to review.
So I have to submit to review, so all of my documents that are handwritten, I'm going to have to upload them.
That's another great question. So what happens if you're doing the old-fashioned way, right? You're doing handwriting. You have to re-upload it. Remember I said under Add Document, we were doing it before, it gave us an option to browse. So if everyone signed physically in hand, you can click on Browse and then upload them after you scan it to your email as PDFs. It only accepts PDFs, though. Okay? But great question. All right, so Mary mentioned submit to review. So I'm going to submit this to review. So click on Submit to Review. That's going to open up this to verify the address. So making sure everything here is complete. So I'm going to put this unit on there. I'm going to hit Next. And then you'll most likely get this screen right here the first time. It wants to know what I'm submitting. So if I'm submitting the listing documents, it's obviously underneath the listing folder. And then see how it's labeled as listing? The Loop template did that for us. So that those that didn't have the Loop template, we have to click on that downward arrow and choose listing to identify that you're submitting listing paperwork. You can also submit a nice little message for Najla. You can submit a nice message to Najla, who's a compliance director, if maybe some documents are missing on purpose, like the lead-based paint or the PCD because of the trust or other qualifying factors. Or you can just send her a happy face or say, hey, what's up? Okay? So in this case, I'm just going to write test, do not mark. So she doesn't get confused. So I want to submit this to us electronically. So I hit submit. It sends off to Najla. So within 48 business hours or less, generally less because Najla works pretty fast at this, you're going to receive an email to your KW email addresses stating the compliance status on this listing. Okay? And that will let you know if it's compliant. So it'll say listing, it'll say listing side compliant, or it'll say returned. If it says returned, one of these documents will have a returned label on it, and the message box, which is right here, will display a message from us or Najla of what specifically is wrong. So all you have to do is just recorrect that and resubmit again, and you're good to go. Does that make sense? So again, for a listing, you want to submit this to us right after or right before you put it on the MLS, preferably before. What does GCAR or your board of realtors generally say is a good, what is the legal amount of hours you have to put a property on the MLS after you have signed the listing agreement?
72.
I think it's 48 hours. Yeah, correct. 72, I think, is the post. So the post and sign up, I believe. But double check GCAR's rules. I'm going to go, I would say 48 hours. I'd rather be less than more, right? And to make sure that I'm not getting fined. So I would say 48 hours you have. But do it as soon as possible. That way you get out of the way, you don't forget about it, and you avoid a fine. Okay? But for us, just submit it to us, and we'll get it. If you have to submit it several times for compliance, we're not going to judge you whatsoever. We understand that compliance with the first couple of deals is going to be kind of foreign to you. So please submit as much as you can, and we'll give you guys, Najla actually sends you a nice little resource of compliance check to make sure that you're doing the right job, and she'll walk you through the steps to make sure that everything is compliant for you guys the first or second time. Okay? All right. Then from there, you're good to go, right, in terms of listing. All right, so it's 2:40. Got 20 more minutes with me. So we have the listing, right? Let's say the listing is accepted by us at Capital District, so it will look something like this. Okay? Listing site compliant. Before it's a compliance review, right? So we mark it. We have permission to mark that as compliant or returned. In this case, we're assuming that everything is signed by Lynn and you in this example. So it's on the market, right, for, let's say, 3 days. Because this unit's a great price point at $2 million. And you get an offer, right? So when you get an offer, what generally happens? How do you communicate with your client? You call them, right? Like, hey, guess what? We have an offer. So you usually tell the price, the terms, and whatnot. And generally, if your seller agrees to the initial discussion verbally, you then submit it to them to sign, right? Is that generally how you guys do that? Okay. I'm just assuming. I don't sell. Like I said, I only teach. All right? So you do that, right? So you generally get the contract in what way? Scanned, a PDF, or email. Hopefully not a fax. But usually an email or a scanned email. So we talked about how we can upload a document, right? A flat PDF. So when you choose a loop template, it gives you another folder called Offer and Buying folder. That way you can nestle all the offers or buying information in that folder to separate them, right? That way when we submit to review, we only have to choose it per folder. And that way our compliance director, Najla, and us can make sure that we can kind of weed out where the listing documents are and where the offer documents are to make sure their compliance is not lacking or we're not holding you back because we're missing something and we can't find it. All right, so we get that flat PDF, right? So we save it to our computer from our email, and then we click on Add Document in our loop. Now it wants to know, how do you want to intake that? So where does the flat PDF have to go? What method? If we're coming from our computer. Browse or template? Excellent. So pop this open, and then we're going to choose a PDF. It only takes PDF, so make sure it is a PDF format. So to avoid putting a real contract out here, I'm just going to do a generic PDF. It happens to be our recruiting presentation, so bear with me. I just want to show you what the PDF is going to load and how to actually template your document. Because remember, if we're receiving a document from the buyers, right, with that offer on it, and they already signed everything, my sellers and myself have to sign it too, right? So I have to, if I'm not going to do it in person, let's say Lynn is in Chicago, I don't think you're going to fly to Chicago just to get a signature or mail, right? You can send this electronically. So we're going to have to show you how to template a flat PDF, which is very easy. All right, so let's pretend this is our PDF. We're going to double click it or click on Open. All right, it's going to upload right here. Generally, it's pretty fast. All right. That's bad. And that's probably a couple of megabytes of a presentation there, so it's a big file. So what I can do first to make sure it's
email. Sorry, let's say email and so forth in the past is fitting your email, not fitting like your system. Okay.
So there was a way to actually email from your email to Dotloop, but I don't see that anymore, and that it caused a couple of challenges. So what I recommend is just hitting the download button on your attachment on the email, and it goes into your download folder. And from there, you can drag and drop it, or add document, template, and then upload it that way and find it in the download section. So by default, your email downloads are usually in the download section of your or download folder in your My Computer section. So look there first. Okay, no problem. All right, so I'm very OCD when it comes to documents, so I tend to want to rename this so it looks nicer, and I know what the heck it is. So I click on that ... I can click on rename, and that's how you rename the file. So I can rename it to that instead, for short. Okay? All right, so I want to open this, and I want to template it, right? So we want to make sure our people are added, which they should be, right? Our seller and ourselves. I go back up, and I click on that PDF. So no autofill pops up, right? Because there's no templates in here, right? There's no boxes to assign to. So we have to do that. So let's pretend this is a contract, which is obviously not. So let's say we have to add our signatures, right? Signature file, and then go to the right, you'll see add. You can add all these additions. So signatures, initial, text, if it's a blank text field, a specific date, checkbox, and radio buttons, and strike-throughs. So pretty much like a regular document, like Publisher or Word or something like that. So if I want to add signatures and initials on there to where it should be, I just take that box. I can put it anywhere I like, so I'll just put it here for now. I now can go to the right corner and format it to whatever size it should be, release it, and then go to the Assign area and assign it to Lynn. All right? I can do the same actions for initials. Again, I can make it larger, smaller, and assign it to myself or Lynn. So see how it's a red highlight? That indicates that I have to sign that. And that's what I didn't show before. And that's what it looks like when it's fully signed. Has a code at the bottom, timestamps, and Dotloop certified. There's actually embedded certifications on every single e-signature, which gives it that legality. Okay. And then for text box, what you can do is just go to Add, Text, and then you can put it anywhere you like. You can, again, make it paragraph form, short form, just release it to complete it. And then you see you can actually add some kind of characters to it, right? I can make it transparent, meaning that the background will transpose in the box itself, so it doesn't look all boxy. Looks nice and neat. So that way you can align it with the already pre-established lines on the contract. Make sense? The biggest thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you assign it to the right person, sign it or fill out before you share it with the individual to make sure they see everything there. Any questions on templating a document real quick? Okay. All right, so I'm going to share this document to Lynn. I can hit save just to lock everything in. And the same technique, right? Share. This pops up. I can make sure I give the right permission. Send that custom message. So here's your full price offer. I'm so excited for you. The same method we did for the listing agreement, you're going to do here. And you can send out, right? Now they get sent to Lynn. Lynn fills it out. Very excited that she's going to get a full price offer for $2 million in the property, right? And it's awesome for the seller agent, right? Because they're getting a nice, probably 3.5% off that after co-broke. Anyone want to do the calculation on that? Yeah? No. I wish. I mean, it was like 60, yeah. Pretty nice. You probably cap on that one transaction too. All right. So let's share. All right. So let's say we go through the method. She signs everything. I get notified. I get back to Dotloop. Now, when the contract is signed, what's the next step after everything is signed? Both parties agree to everything. Where does it go? Well, not yet, because it goes to the attorneys for the formal approval, right? Because we're an attorney state in New York State. So it gets sent to the attorneys. When both sides agree on that, they send the letter of approval, right? And then you submit to review to us again, okay? So after attorney's approval is when you want to submit to review to us. If you do it early, don't worry about it, but I just want to make sure that you guys have the approval on the attorneys so that you have to do it again or redo that submission. So again, it's submit to review, choose the folder the files are under, mark it as offer or buying, and then submit it to us. Does that make sense? Yep, every submission you do goes to Najla. Unless she's away or on vacation, then then myself or Matt or one of the leadership staff will look at it. Sure. So since we're attorney state, technically the the contract is formally like approved or for legality purpose. So we rather go that stage first before you send it to us. That way you don't have to resubmit it to us again, especially if the attorneys want Section 2-3 change, right? You'll probably get some of those changes now and again from attorneys, especially if it's not readable or if it's not valid. So just to avoid resubmitting over and over again, which wastes more of your time. So we just wait till the attorneys approve it, then just submit it to us. Okay? Great question, though. Any questions so far? Okay. So my favorite part is after this, after the attorney's approval and the submission of your loop, what's the last thing you do before waiting to get paid? The green sheet. Excellent. So you guys have a green sheet in your attachment that I handed out or emailed to you guys if you're on the call right now. It is several pages, and we're going to go step by step real quick and define what these mean, okay? So did you know that the green sheet is all done online, and all the calculations are done for you? So no calculator needed for the most part. How cool is that? I'm not a good numbers person, so I like that. So for me, it's good. I don't know about you guys. All right, so where do I find my green sheet? Anyone know? Oh, you're actually looking on the screen at one of these buttons is a click.
Really?
Yeah, it's all on here. We changed it about a year and a half ago, I believe. Actually, what needs to be changed first on here? What's outdated?
Pre-listing.
Ah, perfect. Nice eye. Pre-listing has to go to what? Under contract. And notice this comes up. Actually, I put 20,000. Oh, it's 20 million.
Wow.
Then they got a couple $100,000 there. You know, right? I'll put $2 million to change it. So you can change that here as well. Is that $2 million? No. One extra zero. Almost there. There we go. She's not good at numbers, so. Come on. I screwed up first. So one. That's great. There we go. Okay, that's the right amount. I'm not arguing with more money, so if anyone wants to put $20 million on the property, I'm okay with that. So it gives you a tag of that. Also, what's next to it? Closing date, right? So let's say it's going to close on the 30th because it's paying all in cash. Okay? Pretty nice deal. All right. Sometimes you have to do it again just because it sticks a little bit, so let's do this one more time. All righty. So how do I get to my green sheet from here? Nope. It's actually view details. So I click on view details. Yeah, hiding in plain sight. Now where do I go? This is my green sheet. Right here, perfect. I click on that. And that is what's on the paper right here. So for those that don't have a computer in front of them, they can use a handout. Do you want to turn the lights, or you guys can read that? A little light? Okay, so how do I do this? I'm going to run to the back, put the lights on over here. That way we don't completely blind everybody. 1, 2, 3. Sorry. Is that better? All right. So I click on that. My pop-up is now loading my green sheet. Just an FYI with the green sheet itself. So mine popped up, but for those that are doing this right now as an example, you might see a red X over here, and it might say pop-up blocked. If that occurs, especially on Safari or Google Chrome for the first time, because those browsers tend to be very focused on anti-pop-ups, you have to click on that little red X button, click on Allow Pop-up Block from Allow Pop-ups from Dotloop, and then click on the link again, and that will disable pop-ups from Dotloop or green sheets from now on. So it won't have that red X next to it, and it will fully load to this. All right, that's another common question I get. Usually the pop-up blockers pop the initial green sheet from loading because it creates another tab, like on the screen here. It might be like a little red X. We'll see. It depends, but generally it's very similar to that. Okay, we have here. All right, so several sections are here we have to fill out. See how some of it's filled out already? There's a closing date. So all we have to do is fill out whatever is required, so whatever's in that red or that red asterisk we have to fill out. So contract date, what does that mean?
Okay, the seller signed it.
Beautiful. So I'm what? Listing, right? Listing sold. The class is a property. Property type, we'll say it's a resale. And then the address fills in here. And then we get down to the escrow. So who is our escrow held by for the seller agent? Us. So what is the name of the bank that we've used? Pioneer. Excellent. So Pioneer. Oops. I can spell right. Pioneer. Oh boy.
Do we always put the bank name in there?
Correct. Unless it's the on the third page of the contract, generally towards the bottom, you'll see depository. And if it's another agency, if it's a I don't know, Realty USA, they have their own self as escrow. Other companies might use other banks too. So just the third page of the contract generally shows you what the depository is. And let's say this was a $10,000 deposit off of a $2 million price point. So the sales price, so that was $2 million, right? So I did this right. I think one more zero, right? Excellent. So I'll choose the percentage one, right? Because we took the deal at what, 6%? So what are we giving our co-brokes on average in this area? 2.5, right? Excellent. So at 6.5 minus 2.5. Oh, 6 minus 2.5, sorry. 3.5. Excellent. That's what you're receiving, or Keller Williams is receiving. So we'll type that in there, 3.5. And guess what? It shows your GCI. What is that number? Pretty big, right? $70,000. That's your GCI. That's before the split. That's what's coming into Keller Williams. That's 3.5% of $2 million. Okay. Next section, buyer name. Let's say it's Bob the buyer, the cousin of Bob the builder. All right. I'm not that creative either. So, all right. If they are going to occupy or not, let's say they are, and then the seller information pops in automatically. And then we get down to this crazy thing here. Bam. All right. So Agent A is yourself. So in the advanced Greensheet and Dotloop class, I'm going to talk about more instances like this of if you have dual agency or if you have more than, if you're on a team, if you're splitting or giving referrals out. But in this scenario, we're going to assume that we're the only Keller Williams agent in this deal. Okay? So your name automatically populates under Agent A. Agent role, what are we? Listing specialist. Type, excellent. Agency, what the heck is listing unit?
1.
Why is it 1?
Because we have the full sale.
Exactly, so 1 equals 100%. Okay?
Now, for example, I have a buyer's agent. So let's say, for example, I apologize. But, so let's say let's say it's a 50-50 split. Then I put 0.05 or 0.5 and
0.5, exactly. If you're going to give
60-40, then it's
0.6, 0.4, exactly after you add that person as agent B. And we'll do that next class. But that's great, a great point to bring up. Excellent. So 1. And notice when I hit tab, everything gets brought down, right? Excellent. So this next section I want to worry about is split with MC or 100% to agent. So that simply asks, are you capped or not capped? If it's your first deal with us, most likely you're not capped, so you're going to make sure that says split with MC for Market Center. And then you'll put your correct Market Center split will showcase there. If it is different, you guys can edit that. Just let Matt know, and Matt will change that for you. All right. Next, it asks, are you capped on royalty? So again, if it's your first listing, most likely you are not. So you click on no. And then if you bring this down, so see where it says it's letting you know how much is negating each time. So it's negating for royalty of 4,200. Now in this example, what's wrong with that number? Well, no, it was 6%. What? You cap at 3. Excellent. So what's going to happen is you cap on a royalty automatically on this deal, and that difference of that minus 3,000 is going to be reimbursed in your check. So that's in a case scenario if you cap on a deal like this. Okay. So if you cap in the middle of a green sheet of a deal, Matt automatically refunds you the money and populates it as if you capped on that transaction, okay? So there's no worries with that. He's really good at his job. He does it hundreds of times each month, so he will get that to you. That's the only case scenario that it's going to be misleading on the green sheet not being what your check is. But that's a good thing is that you get more money if you cap in the middle of that transaction, or if you have a big sale price and you cap on the royalty right then and there in that case. All right, so the pink or purple or red, whatever shade that is going to be the donation section. So you have to put a number, so just put 0 if you wish not to donate. If you have an automatic donation form that you fill out through Matt, it will automatically be calculated here. All right, and then all the way at the bottom, you'll see net agent check, the amount you'll get paid. Now remember, in this case scenario, you most likely would have capped, right? So that number is going to be much higher than that. But that shows you the amount of money you're getting in your direct deposit or via check. And the only calculation you have to do is just minus out $20 for E&O insurance from every deal. And that's what you're going to be paid on. So if you want, you guys can test this out, especially if you have a listing that you want to see how much commission you'll get paid on by the exact amount. You can do it in here at a time if you wanted to. All right. Next section, all we care about is the broker, the co-broker in this case. So all we care about is the company name, the agent name, and their phone number. And if you can please fill out these 2 questions, that'll be great. That goes to Carrie, who often will call other agents that you see value in that might want to join Keller Williams and help grow your profit share tree. Right? So it's a good thing. And then the vendors. We want to know what the vendor is in the mortgage, right? So if it's a cash deal like I mentioned today, you can just type in cash, and it's there. Then you want to make sure you click on the loan type to match that mortgage. In this case, it's cash. However, let's say it's a prospect. And past pay, right? Prospect. There it is. I click on prospect. It will autofill all the information. Pretty neat. If your bank is or your finance company is not on here, you want to choose other and physically fill it out. The first time you fill it out and save this, it will relog that in. So next time you search for that new one, it will auto-populate for you. Okay? Next section, and then last but not least, you can leave a note for Matt, something that he needs to know, or again, he put a smiley face and saying, I want my check. No. So anything that he should get aware of. Now, after that, I hit submit to MCA, which is Matt, that green button. After I hit that button, a pop-up comes up that says it confirms your entry, so I'll show you what that looks like. You click on that green button again, and it submits to Matt automatically. Now, so let me just real quick. I'm just going to type in test, do not use. As long as it says, once it loads, partially accepted, that means you're good to go. That means it sends an email to Matt to look at. Matt verifies all the numbers for you, and then once he opens it, it's going to lock the green sheet, which means you can't make any edits. Let's say you made a mistake you found out like 2 weeks later. So any changes to the contract that we should know about, price, mortgage, escrow, commission, or dates, just email or call Matt and he'll fix it for you. Okay? All right. That was a short introduction to green sheets. Any questions on the green sheets before I let you guys go?
Okay. When I click mine, view details.
So view details from the initial loop.
Right.
And then
Because the green sheet, I get this pop-up thing that says.
Did you make sure your status is correct? Is it pending?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, not pending. I think it was active listing.
That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why your status matters, though. So you might get a warning if you're on a pending status, you'll get a warning with that. All right. Any other questions I can answer for you guys? All right. It was a pleasure to teach you guys. You guys have a handout with the evaluation form on that. All I need is your first name, last name, and email on here. and your marking of my teaching of this class, you put a face down on this corner of the table. I do not see that. I actually send this automatically to Dotloop. They send me back a copy without your name on it, and then I can see the remarks. So be as open and honest as possible. I love feedback. I'm passionate about training, so this is very important to me, so help expand and make my training here or regionally better. Okay, so I appreciate you guys filling that out and sticking with me for an hour and a half, and thank you for watching.